Team Dignitas swiftly dealing with a Heroes Hearth patented strategy. Now, does the game plan change? We're about to find out, at least where the battleground will be going. What would you like to see from Heroes Hearth moving forward?
I mean, we already know that Dragonshire is going to be the map just announced here. Gonna be tough, I would say. I feel that Dignitas is similar to a lot of the Koreans, are extremely good, just like splitting on the map, controlling the macro game. And for Heroes Hearth, showing the confidence to meet them on that end is great for them, but I'm not sure if they can really match that experience.
Yeah, I just don't think it's actually correct, to be honest, unless they have something really special prepared here, which is what I'm hoping for, knowing that Dignitas plays this map a lot, is really good at this map. I'm not even necessarily saying something as crazy as what we just saw, but having a game plan here. I trust Heroes Hearth's preparation for this event a lot, but I don't know if they play standard here. I think this map choice will come back to bite them because Dignitas is just better at that type of game.
Well, it's another Johanna map, it's another Abathur solo support map for Heroes Hearth, and it's another potential place for a double support Vala. So if they're going to stick with the strats that they've been using largely so far, we did see the Anubarak with the Greymane too. Maybe something to do there. I will say that North America, though, has played so much Dragonshire because of Tempo Storm alone that North America does have a lot of strategies revolving around this, and Heroes Hearth has had to play versus that, so they have a lot of ideas on this. But there's going to be no Abathur this time.
Yeah, Abathur banned out already, and there's so much flexibility in terms of the tanks you have times two. For JPL, I'm not quite expecting it to come out, but his Muradin was usually the go-to hero for them when they were playing on Dragonshire, simply because he can engage from these mid lanes and force a fight. But you have now Maiev who can do exactly the same, always go in, force the engage on the opponent. And that's a great first pick here for Snitch in particular.
It's really going to help control that 4-man and can create a lot of early kills, especially if they have a tank that works well with that extra follow-up CC, because JPL is just really hitting that crowd control tonight. And let's see what Heroes Hearth wants to respond with. They will actually be the first ones to grab the tank, that front line that has pick potential. They're going to go for Dahaka, which is going to give them that macro control, one of McIntyre's better heroes. So I like this first rotation, but how they build the 4-man versus the Maiev is what I'm most interested in.
Dig loves these kind of dive-heavy strategies on Dragonshire. There's only been a couple of games, but they do play things like, Zeratul. And Anubarak, I don't think is outside of the question at all. I don't know if for sure we're going to get them from them. Garrosh is still up too. They're going to leave the tank until later on, but you could see something like that, whether it be the Cocoon Containment Disc and then just split apart everything that Heroes Hearth has, or potentially just dive in along with the cage.
Yeah, they played their fair share of Anubarak here too, but Muradin is definitely one of the big go-tos for them in normal setup. Already what they have here, you have the URL for Wii, that's going to be fantastic for the solo lane for him. It's also one of the maps, or the map, where most European players will agree that URL is the strongest, because you can execute control on lane and also then on the shrine itself, making it very difficult for Dahaka if he has no one else to rotate up to really hold lane in the shrine. That already creates pressure at the bot lane, and with Dignitas drafting a very strong format around the engage through Maiev, you will always have pressure on Heroes Hearth to not give up the lane.
And don't forget Tyrael, right? JPL's been playing more of that too. I think that's very possible. We see the Zeratul ban already for things like Void Prison, and plus McIntyre's been playing a ton of it.
I think Tyrael is fantastic on this map for soaking mid while you're rotating around camps and pushing bottom, and you have the ability to kind of keep that wave constantly pushed with Tyrael's shields. And it's been very successful in Korea with Rainer compositions specifically. There's the bright.
Ayo!
I think Tyrael's pretty reasonable here, and Dignitas does always mirror a lot of the Korean style. JPL's been playing a little bit more of the aggressive initiation tanks so far in this group stage, but I don't think that Tyrael is out of the realm of possibility here.
I mean, we had the combo already with the Diablo Phoenix setup, and you have on top of that then Dahaka. If he is not being attacked by Reyna, if he doesn't get stopped by a penetration round when he starts to burrow in and connects with the drag or the isolation, that's going to be really powerful for them. And Heroes Hearth has already shown a bit of a tendency to use Brightwing with a polymorph focus build to really just execute one target, get those cooldown reductions, and just move through with the CC. But now here's that Muradin that I was talking about earlier. And on top of that, you add the Kharazim. So there's a lot of single target pressure with this setup. There's a lot of mobility that they have with all the heroes that can jump in. And yeah, Heroes Hearth responds with a Verlera who can at least set up some pressure.
It's really powerful in the early game. I mean, this is the comp to The Dignitas had the Maiev first, and then we were thinking, okay, they're the ones to worry about in the format in the early game, but now this is completely flipped on its head, I'd say.
Here are two issues with this. First of all, I feel the the Valera is simply an adjustment after your Zeratul gets banned out, because the idea is for two reasons a bit similar. First of all, Valera can move to the top lane and create pressure in a 2 versus 1 situation against Durel. You have the Brightwing factor that we have oftentimes seen with Zeratul in the past, where you sneak onto the lane, Brightwing portals in, all of a sudden you have a 3 versus 1. Take that down, so that's a huge threat. One of the problems that I have a bit with this is because I don't think that Dignitas is caught off guard by it, simply because Europe for, let's say, 2-3 weeks was very Valera heavy, especially on the top end of the teams that played it.
Right?
And Dignitas in particular has actually faced off against Valera several times. There are a couple of games against Fnatic that really come to mind. So they should be, they have played against us before, and I think they will be able to deal with it. But if you don't pay attention, that combo with Valera Brightwing can one-shot basically anyone, tanks included.
Yeah, you're all included.
And it can also really lock down these mobile heroes. Look at the heroes that Dignitas is running here. Urel that's got an escape, Murden, similar escape. These silences can kill a Karzim who wants to dash away, or a Maiev, prevent the vault. So I think it's a lot of lockdown if they go for the polymorph reset again like they did earlier. I think this composition can snowball well. However, post 10, I think Dignitas fully regains control of every team fight in every rotation.
Well, Team Dignitas trying to withstand the best from North America, at least the #1 seed. Can they do it? We find out now.
If there's one thing Dignitas has, it's experience. They have faced everything in the HGC, but I will say Valera does change your timings up a lot in terms of your engagements. You have a lot of heroes here like Karazim or even Murden that go for that dive and they had that last second disengage, but if Dignitas can focus on making sure to be a little bit quicker on those disengages, Valera should be a non-factor for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like with this composition compared to in the last game with the kill potential that we expected out of HeroesHearth Esports, Dig doesn't have all the wave cleared to be able to kind of compensate with the situation. They aren't worried about the macro pressure that's going to be in the downtime. So I think, I'm not sure if I'm going to say I'm optimistic about this game, but I do think compared to the last one, HeroesHearth is going to look a little bit more competitive here. But the Valera is always a high-risk pick, I feel. You
cannot ignore what she can pull off, though. She is quite a scary hero if she's able to get the jump on top of you. Here on the left side in the blue, we're going to have Wubby playing Urel once again, Azalea to play Karazim, Poik on Rainer, Snitch on Maiev, and JPL to play Murden. Looking to try and land those Storm Bolts and, of course, lock down his opponents.
And here for HeroesHearth Esports, we're going to have Homicidal there on Phoenix, Diablo played by Ishbu, McIntyre on the Dahaka, BBJ on his Brightwing, and Crowan himself will be the Valera, roguing around, trying to find those one-shot, one-kills.
He will be the one that everyone will have their eyes focused on. Valera trying to find those flanks, looking for those angles to come in and surprise your opponent is a job that is quite difficult to do, especially if your opponents are keeping an eye out for you. But there is one thing they can look for. Karazim, if he is to overstep and you get that big silence on him, the silence is a major factor for Karazim. He cannot escape as easily. He can't dash away to his opponent. If you try to burn him down quickly, those are some kills that HeroesHearth Esports can go for.
Out a little bit too far there. Good use of the silence to be able to dash back, but Stormbolt going to be available. Can he juke it? Polymorph already coming in. Juke and jive in. It's going to be successful. Now BBJ there with the Shadow Charge over is going to overpower on top of Rainer. Zalia there with the dash out in the heels. Bit of a scuttle here in the top half, but nothing gained here for either side.
But it does show what Valera does to the battleground, right? She demands your attention. Almost Cho'Gath-like, if that's even a thing to even describe. If you see her show up on the map and you see her in a one-on-one situation, you as a team are trying to rotate over and make sure you get there in time to punish her for using her cooldowns. And Team Dignitas did just that in the top right corner, but HeroesHearth had the response right away. Diablo there for the charge in too, and that's going to happen often here on Dragon Gyre, especially around the Bermuda Triangle down here on the bottom.
Yeah, one thing that I find a little bit concerning, though, already for the opener from HeroesHearth Esports is picking a Valera in this composition. It is pretty telling that your top lane pressure is going to be a large amount of your focus. I just feel like your opener at your level 1, going to the top lane and being as predictable as expected is part of the reason that kind of situation happened in the first place. And if HeroesHearth doesn't find a way to get that mix-up, you talked about the experience that Dignitas has. They are going to handle this. You have to find a way to just, you know, catch them off guard.
Yeah. I would even argue there are some moments where you have to go for a high-risk, heavy-reward play with Valeria. It might be in the middle of the game, but there are those moments where as a team you have to find that one situation where you throw your opponent completely off the rocker. Some of the things that you can do is look to the Giants in the bottom left. You go for an aggressive bait. You pick somebody off that's going for a rotation. You need those elements of surprise when you're playing a Valeria composition, because if you never deliver on them, Dignitas will slowly beat you down. On the top, Wubby escaping once again, trading out 2 there with Imrad's insight, being completely fine, but losing out on the top shrine.
And this is part of the reason I was arguing that the composition is going to be a little bit more competitive just off the draft, is because in the last game, when Crowan is off in the off lane trying to get that pressure, you were like, look at Sergeant Hammer and how much damage and macro it is getting out in the downtime. Though that is still the maybe upper hand here for Dignitas, it's not nearly as difficult for them, and Crowan can kind of hang out here a little bit longer than he was in the last game.
The plan is even being reflected in the builds here. I mean, you look over to Brightwing, she's moving into full polymorph, level 1 and level 4. At first thought, when the new Brightwing came out, a lot of folks were saying, okay, phase shield build, way to go. You get the shields coming in there, you get the maximum heal coming in. But HeroesHearth says, no, we want to be able to get the full resets of Creator Polymorph, have them instantly available, and try to run over our opponents. And Brightwing having that ability to get those resets on Polymorph will allow for them to pull that off.
Yeah, and with the Raynor and the Karzim, as you pointed out before, and I think even Maiev, if she doesn't have the Vault in the right situation, if that teleport from BBJ comes in on Crowan at the right position, the right timing, I don't think you get to use your hero anymore. It is just a silence into a polymorph into the gray screen, right? There's nothing else around.
Definitely makes you double think what you're about to do when you go for an aggressive play. And you don't want that when you're a Maiev. You don't want to overthink your engagement. You want to go in, get the tether, pull them in, drop the Warden's Cage, just get out, you vault away. But now you suddenly have the extra layer coming in there, and it is such a fun thing to talk about when it comes to the mindset and how you deal with the composition that HeroesHearth has.
So I agree with you that when looking at, you know, the kind of way that the battleground plays out, how it makes you second guess what you want to do, what you're going to do there. But I want to paint an even kind of different picture here is once these structures start dropping, think about if you're Dignitas, when you want to move out to those shrines. If it gets to a 20 versus 20 late game, you have a Brightwing Dahaka Valir just all-inning onto you if you ever try to leave your own team here.
You suddenly have to set up anchors.
Yes.
That's for sure. You have to say, okay, this is the bottom temple. We're not moving until we see people on the map. And that is in the ball core of HeroesHearth Esports. One of the ways you can mitigate that, don't lose structures. But that's something that you can't tell people, as you want to make sure that, of course, when they get a dragon, they're going to start barreling their way forward.
Yeah, you know, it's just like, how do you get better? It's just like, well, just stop sucking. It's pretty, you know, it's as simple as just don't do the other thing here.
Become a better player. One thing that Team Dignitas has done already is made a priority on the mercenary camps. They grab the camp in the top left corner, and if you look over to HeroesHearth Esports, they don't have the best clear when it deals with dealing with night camps, at least. Phoenix himself will struggle a little bit. They'll need some help, and Valir suddenly not being on the map means they take away from the map pressure they're trying to build into. So Team Dignitas is trying to trade that out in the form of mercenary camps. A drag connects here on the top left on a snitch, but no kill available. The temple continues to be the focus here for HeroesHearth.
Giants are going to be available for HeroesHearth in this window if they would like to try and take advantage of that due to the information of Snitch on the top half. That seems like the safer transition, and they're going to go into that for now, but Raynor is going to be matching that on the other side. So keep track of Snitch. His rotation next is very, very important. Likely going to be on bottom, but because it's a double giant matchup, if HeroesHearth doesn't understand the transition, this could be a very good gank opportunity for Dig.
HeroesHearth so far, though, hasn't been paying attention to those Giants. They realize that Dignitas has been going to them quickly, so they will put a couple resources to clearing that out in the bottom right, and that never gives the opportunity for Dignitas. But if they ever do slip up, I agree, that is a movement that Dignitas can certainly move into and force a fight that will be beneficial for them. Shrine control for a second tier as Valir disappears from that top lane. In the bottom lane, Boyk taking a bit of a beating, but so is Hami as Zalia comes in and delivers a punch or two.
And there it is, the clash on bottom. BBJ with the teleport stuck in a bad spot. Now Crowan trying to find his way out. One fan of knives is all it's necessary. And look at this. Ishbu, Dignitas saying you will not pass this line. We're going to find a triple here on the bottom half. And look at that stitch.
And maybe a fifth. McIntyre comes in from behind.
It's
Why?
a gift here, man. It is like Christmas morning here for Team Dignitas. And look at this. Wubby hammers it back, knows that the turret's going to be there. Dignitas dismantling HeroesHearth Esports with that transition.
I love how Wubby just casually rotates from the top lane, gets a knockback, and says, okay, now I take the dragon while my team murders you. Team at Dignitas finding a total of 5 kills off of one slight mistake there for HeroesHearth Esports, and they are paying for it. 10 3/4 to level 9. The dragon pushing in the middle lane, and HeroesHearth just now responding.
And I want to highlight that a lot of that is because of Team Dignitas' mid lane control. I was highlighting how I thought the bottom rotation for Snitch was going to be the case, and it was after they ensured that they gained vision control of mid, so nobody can answer to that collapse. Granted, you know, Homicidal getting a little hypey there on the kill, but that only really kind of helped the situation. But Dignitas had that laid out multiple seconds in advance, and everything here seems to be working out fine for them. Dragonite now still focused on mid, and we don't often see this. And I would argue, again, why does that come to light? It's because of the composition here we get from HeroesHearth Esports. It's BBJ unable to make it out, and it doesn't look like Crone will either.
Oh my gosh, big tether coming in. Crone getting unstealth here. Raynor with the auto attacks, and there's another pick. Dignitas is running over HeroesHearth Esports. Now, HeroesHearth Esports is on their way towards level 10. They suffered some pretty large casualties, but there is one thing about Dragonshire that you can say: you can slow down the game and get yourself to that mid to late game. You're not going to get to a point where you're in too dire of a need, but if any more mistakes happen here from HeroesHearth Esports, team at Dignitas is going to continue to run them over.
Back out, look for a couple of mercenaries, and get a lot of macro pressure into the downtime. If you're Team Dignitas, your thought process is more about the next Dragonite phase, and just in the downtime, it's only if HeroesHearth makes a mistake, which might be here, actually. We see McIntyre get the brush stock in. This is an all-in play for HeroesHearth Esports as they go for the collapse. Focus on Desalia. Palm's got to be dropped. Shadow Charge actually gets the proc there as the Lightning Breath comes through. McIntyre, the focus for Dignitas. Isolation connects, but it does not matter. They're 1 for 1 so far, as Ishbu looks like he's going to be the second victim.
But Wubby sitting on the point with the Ardent Defender grabs away the camp. Crone will be the next one to get picked off here. It's going to be a trade in favor of Team Dignitas, and they're looking for a little bit more as BBJ is trying to get away. Does he have a blink kill available? He does. At the last second, he gets out, but Team Dignitas happy with that trade-off as they can look towards taking out a 4. Wubby actually feeling a little bit feisty here, jumping into a 1v2, looking for BBJ, goes for the knockback. Ooh, solid phase shift there from BBJ to get away.
Yeah, great hammer though from Wubby, able to stop the Shadow Charge available. And now with that advantage over that kill in the bottom half, Dignitas pick up this bottom fort. The biggest thing here is that we got 20 seconds out from the next Dragonite. Camp on bottom is going to be paired with a Night Camp. That's going to be paired with the top Night Camp pressuring against them. Dignitas just paints the map blue, double Shrine Cap, and says thank you for the Dragonite with the 13th town.
Now we've had some aggression that can certainly be said here when it comes to Dragonshire. 10 kills here for Team Dignitas, and we haven't had a chance to talk about these level 10 heroics. For Brightwing, we actually have that blink kill coming in, which is starting to be more of a trend for a lot of our Brightwing players. But do you think there's a world here where Emerald Wind may have been a little bit more effective for HeroesHearth?
I actually did wonder for a moment, and honestly, since her rework and some of the adjustments that have come in, I do still fall on the more often than not the blink heal side, the playmaking capabilities, especially with the comp that we have from HeroesHearth. I do feel like if they went that route, it was so all in, but at the same time, you know, it's one of those situations where it's not like the blink heal has been profound enough to maybe have that justification.
I just feel like separation could be a real ally here
Yeah.
for HeroesHearth Esports. But speaking about separation, HeroesHearth almost losing Crone here on the middle, but with a BBJ phase shift in, he will get the heal. But you're starting to see the map. You talked about it being blue. Dignitas is getting to a point where they control the middle of Dragonshire, and HeroesHearth is not having room to step up. They completely lose on the second dragon.
And that is all because of that first Dragonite focus to mid lane. Again, I can't not bring this up enough. Dignitas love to make sure that if they control you in middle, they control you in the other lanes. And normally that isn't going to be that impactful, but considering Dragonshire is one of the few battlegrounds where all of the objective exists both in top and on bottom, it is a very big play here as McIntyre diving on the backline, hits the isolation. Gonna go ahead and pop that passive, looking for the heal up. Azalea skirting away here.
Pretty big salvo coming out there, but McIntyre just too bruised and burned as he gets taken out. And Crone, maybe the next one here, taking some damage here. BBJ finally gets in a heal at the last second, but the dragon has to stop pounding on this wall. It breaks down the keep wall, breaks down the turrets, and now it's looking straight at the keep.
Going to be a keep here, I feel, for Dignitas. Still 13 seconds, so they're going to have Dahaka joining the rest of the team. They do have pretty good siege capabilities to go for core this early on, but it's still high risk. It should be noted. 4-level lead, and now Dignitas, 10, almost 11 minutes into the game, find their way through the core shielding. Valera tries to get the combo out. Wubby with a huge response. BBJ out of here. Second kill, triple kill, and this is it. Dignitas is ready to close out this series.
Snitch is wielding the knives. Constant resets coming in there, and you got a Raynor peppering you down at the same time. HeroesHearth Esports is getting bullied around by Team at Dignitas as they turn around and focus down the core. Team at Dignitas grabs another 2-0 in this tournament.
16-1 in terms of kills in that last game. Dignitas showing why they have been able to really beat anyone over the Western scene over the feels like for the entirety of the past 2 years, and why a lot of people walk into this tournament going, this may be one of the only hopes to take on Gen G.
I mean, talking about Heroes Hearth Esports, it seems like both of their games, they focus on these compositions that require them to have a strong early game, and they were unable to deliver. The experience for Team Dignitas continues to show time and time again. Is this a strategy that Heroes Hearth needs to adjust if they continue to move through the tournament?
I think so. I think, you know, a lot of it comes down to the what versus the why. Ishbu was talking about. Dignitas knew the why the mid lane mattered so much, and I don't think that Heroes Hearth identified that fast enough. But either way, that is enough for our thoughts there on that series. We're going to throw over to the panel and see what they have to say.
Time when MSB, I think it was, all the Korean teams were diving forts, and now I hear Wolf say, man, Dignitas just plays like a Korean team. They always have, they really are. And if anything reminded me of that today, Wolf, it was how many times we saw Dig dive forts to get kills.
Yeah, I mean, they just play standard, I think. And that's the opposite, polar opposite of what we saw from Heroes Hearth in this series. And it reminds me of StarCraft in a way where, you know, sometimes you cheese, right? And I wouldn't call this a cheese per se, but you look at an opponent and say, they're the stronger opponent. I want to try something non-standard because, you know, if we're just running the same thing, fire versus fire, they're the bigger fire, right? And the problem with that nowadays is that all of the strategies that work in Heroes that you kind of try to throw someone off with, or you try to do something a little bit unusual, you try to do something a little bit North American, everyone's seen it before. This is not the first time we've ever seen Valeera in a composition like this, what we saw previously as well, with a solo support Abathur. These kinds of things are no longer rare, and I think Dignitas just has the experience to not only deal with it well, but absolutely crush it. So there needs to be, I think, for the North American region, I mean, especially for Heroes Hearth that had this huge struggle against Dignitas, perhaps the solution is not to try to do something unusual or do something very non-standard, but perhaps just to overall try to level up your standard play, you know, for the future.
I mean, at least for Dignitas, it was definitely not something that they haven't encountered before, as I said about it. What?
Continue, please continue.
That wasn't supposed to be a call out, I'm just saying, you know.
What happened? Something that they encountered before, but I could have seen maybe even Heroes Hearth adjust after the Karazim gets picked. Because once the Karazim is in play, you have Air Ally, and also what we talked about, what's the idea behind the entire composition of Heroes Hearth? It's to go for blow-up, right? And now all of a sudden, all you have to do is you switch from seven-sided, which is the standard in Europe, to Palm. You have an ally, you have Palm, and both of them put so much pressure onto Valeera even more that it was so difficult for them to get anything done with it. And once you fall behind, it's just so difficult to come back into them.
Yeah, I agree. The air ally was especially problematic for any sort of setup for Crowan. And for Team Dignitas, I expressed at the beginning of the day, I watched all of Group A yesterday, and it felt like I wasn't sure if anyone could give Gen G a run for their money. And now I am convinced, based on how dominant Team Dignitas is, and I'm convinced because it actually happened and Team Liquid took a game off of them. So we're making this more competitive as of yet, and we'll continue to see that unfold. We've got another match coming up. This is a really big one, especially for the leftovers. It's Mind Freak versus the One. Stay tuned for more HGC Finals.
And throwing out the grenades, maybe even a Riptire would be great for them. BBJ even cloning Junkrat, realizing wave clear so far, but Johanna, where did she go?
It's a magic trick. She's just gone. Very well done there by Dignitas, flipping over, finding the kill. Crowan's going to receive the same fate there as Ishbu very much did. And Dignitas, we questioned, would they second guess going for the core? Their posturing right now says no. They are ready to send this to a game at #2, North America's #1 seed versus Europe's #1 seed.
Control for a second tier as Valeera disappears from that top lane. In the bottom lane, Poik taking a bit of a beating, but so is Hami as Zalia comes in to deliver the puncher tips.
And there it is, the clash on bottom. BBJ with the teleport stuck in a bad spot. Now Crowan trying to find his way out. One fan of knives is all it's necessary. And look at this. Ishbu, Dignitas saying you will not pass this line. We're going to find a triple here on the bottom half. And look at that stitch.
And maybe a fifth. McIntyre comes in from behind.
It's a gift here, man. It is like Christmas morning here for Team Dignitas. And look at this. Wubby hammers it back, knows that the turret's going to be there. Dignitas dismantling Heroes Hearth Esports with that transition. 10, almost 11 minutes into the game, find their way through the core shielding. Valeera tries to get the combo out. Wubby with a huge response. BBJ out of here. Second kill, triple kill, and this is it. Dignitas is ready to close out this series.
Snitch just wielding the knives. Constant resets coming in there, and you got a Rainer peppering you down at the same time. Heroes Hearth Esports is getting...
The 2018 HGC Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
The Heroes of the Storm Global Championship is back. By watching and cheering with bits on Twitch, you can unlock new chat emotes and exclusive in-game items, all while supporting your favorite HGC teams. Bits are a virtual good you can buy on Twitch to cheer, celebrating amazing moments and amplifying your voice in chat. And during HGC, when you cheer for your favorite team, a share of the bits spent will go to that team. As you cheer, you can unlock loot chests, mounts, and exclusive emotes when personal and global cheering goals are met. There is more loot than ever, but as new community items are launched, the old ones will disappear. Get them all before they're gone for good. Right below the video player, you can track team-specific and global progress, check out your individual goals, and see leaderboards that highlight each team's total cheers and the top individual cheerers. To get started, buy some bits by clicking on the bits gems at the bottom of chat and selecting Get Bits. Then, when a team pulls off an amazing play, click on the bits gem in chat, select the team logo, add the number of bits you want to use, plus a message to cheer them on. You'll summon a team-themed animated cheer mode to celebrate the moment loud and proud in chat. The more bits you use, the cooler and more animated the cheer mode. Want to share your love of the game with chat? If you cheer 1,000 or more bits at once, not only will you receive 2 loot chests, but you will also randomly share 8 or more loot chests with people watching with you. The larger the cheer, the more members in chat you will gift with a loot chest. And lastly, be sure to link your Blizzard and Twitch accounts to claim your loot. We'll see you in the Nexus.